Thanks, Divine, for bringing Arijit and Kate into one time, space, and reality. Please speak through us the ancient wisdom and shine the light to the hidden information through us. Thank you.
Pleasure. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome Kate. Kate is from South Korea, one of my very good friend, and she is mainly into spirituality, astrology, and of course into mental health. And she keeps giving tips regarding corporate wellness worldwide. So welcome, Kate, to our show. And of course, it is going to be really, really amazing. We have a very beautiful topic today, which is exploring the hidden gems in very old Asian myth and culture and epics. So what do you think, Kate? Is it going to be amazing or people will not love it?
Okay, like Buddha, not attached to outcome. Let's have fun, Arijit.
True.
So Arijit, I'm happy that you want to talk about Om, the ancient Sanskrit. And I understand from brief research, Om comes from the Hinduism tradition. Could you share with us what Om means for you?
Of course. So Om as a Omkar is one of the biggest enchantment that a human being can do. And if we look at the universe, probably the sound of universe is Om. One of the biggest issue is with human tongue, we cannot produce Om as a sound because the real sound for the human being comes from the nasal. So if you look at the human body, even though if you burn it, you cannot burn the nasal. One of the sole reasons is you cannot destroy it. It always stays until unless nature calls upon nasal into its own lap. So Om as a concept have got a brilliant 3 different dimensions, which actually taking me towards a little bit of spiritualism. I'm not going to talk about anything religious, to be very, very honest, but we are going to talk about mainly the science behind all those kind of terms that we are going to probably share with each other. First and foremost thing is, if we look at Om as a symbol, that very symbol have got 3 different dimensions: the creation, the protection, and the destruction. Now, all these 3 parts in Hinduism, we defined it in 3 main gods. For creator, we define him as Brahma. For protection, we have a symbol called Vishnu. He is protector of the entire universe. And to kill the negativity in any part of the universe, we have Lord Shiva. So all these 3 parts, when you combine it together, it doesn't have any kind of, I would say, any kind of negativity, any kind of feelings, any kind of shape. So the supreme power Om doesn't have anything. It's complete hollow, but at the same time, it has got all the power, all the energy, all the lights that we can think of. Now, in Hinduism, there is another concept. Mahadev or Lord Shiva is defined as Omkar, because if we look at that particular God, who is God of God, and that's the reason we call himself as Devadi Dev, meaning the ancient God of all the gods. Shiva doesn't have a father or a mother. That concept doesn't exist. He is called Shayangvu. Now, it is very difficult, Kate, to define all those Sanskrit terms into 26 letters English, but I'm trying to define it as simple as possible. So Swayambhu means the person who took birth on its own. He is indestructible. It doesn't have any kind of date, any kind of other feelings, which is mortal feelings. He himself is the universe. And that's the sole reason If you look at Shiva, he is blue. He has got moon in his upper part of his head. We call it as Jata. Jata means it's a long hair, but it's not defined as hair actually. It's the complexity of the entire darkness of universe. And the blue color symbolizes infinity. So if you look at Vishnu and Shiva at the same time, both have got blue as a color because both of them are infinite. So the interesting part is protector and the destructor both have got blue as a color, which is infinite. But if we look at the creator, Brahma, Brahma has got its originate, meaning someone gave Brahma a birth. That means creator can be created, but protection cannot be created like this. It's a feeling. It's an infinite feeling which should be there as long as our universe exists. But if we look at time, it's so complex. I'm trying to make it simple for all of us. If we look at time, we have Brahma Kals, meaning Brahma times. In earlier days, if you look at the explanation of time and the calculation, you'll be surprised to see that the entire universe time, the creation of the entire universe has been defined in Hindu mythology long back. I actually call it as science, not mythology. If somebody can read it, it has got all the elements which defines how to become really cool, how to have mental peace, how to find yourself within yourself. So if you look back to the very term Om, Om means when you enchant, you start enchanting, you start with that. So if you look at all these Sanskrit sloka, you will probably find Om in various places. So I would love to define one very simple line from Sanskrit, which is very self-explanatory. Asatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma yotirgamaya, mrittorma amritam gamaya, avirabirma yedhi, rudra yatte dakshinang mukham, tenamang pahi nityam. So the first line is asatoma sadgamaya, meaning from asatya, take me towards satya, which is from non-truth. It's not lie, okay? The opposite of truth is not always lie. From non-truth or half-truth, take me towards truth. Tamasoma yotirgamaya. Tamasa means darkness. Yoti means light. From darkness, take me towards the light. So all these slokas are actually connected with the protection part, which means if you took birth as a human or as an animal or as maybe a plant, you need to protect yourself. Now to protect yourself, it's a cycle. Probably sometimes you need to destroy a couple of things. And then at the same time, when you destroy something, there is a creation in the opposite cycle. Just think of probably producing a cup of tea. When you produce a cup of tea, you are probably plucking it from tea plants. And that leaf, the tree leaf, you are processing it. After you process, you probably bring it to your kitchen, boil some water, put that tea leaf, and then it becomes tea for your drink. And it gives you energy. Forget about adding sugar. That's another part of adding and creating things. But if you look at that tea leaf itself, initially you are destroying it, and then you are protecting it so that it becomes tea leaf. It can be green tea, it can be brown, it can be red. It doesn't matter. It's a process. The timeline that you usually use to produce that tea, it is a timeline you are producing that energy. And when you drink it, that energy flows inside the human body. And that's the cycle. So this is the main solo meaning of probably our existence. And that meaning is hidden inside Om, which is really big to define. I hope I have done my part of justice by defining Om in a very, very simple way.
Well, I did not know how comprehensive you can explain about Om, and you made me, it's more complex than I thought, right? I usually chant Om and it feels good. And when you chanted that sloka, you call it sloka, I felt the clean energy coming out of you and it touched my body. And so I understand the importance of the mantra, and let alone Om has a power, what you're saying. And you brought this angle from a scientific angle in a detailed manner. And I'm looking at the screen where it explains Om in 3 layers, A-U-M. And as you said, there's Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Also, Brahma indicates present, Vishnu past, Shiva future. And the Brahma is also known as creating force, according to this chart I'm looking at. Excuse me, I'm from Korea. It says here, connecting ego and truth. You earlier mentioned, take me from non-truth to truth. And then the second part, sustaining force, that's equivalent to Vishnu. It also relates to brings lightness, clarity, balance, pure wisdom. Also corresponding pronunciation is chit. And then the third, Shiva, corresponds to the English word destroying force, as you earlier said about the tea bag, tea bag example. It's about purity, truth, and light, and its intention is to bring onenessness. So I understand how complex it can have with this just simple word, ancient concept Aum. And it doesn't do justice to verbalize it. It's one way to verbalize it, to understand it. And then also having the felt experience of Om is also as important. I think you and I are balancing different angles together about this Om, investigating together.
True.
Well, Arijit, did the explanation make sense? I found this online. What do you say?
Well, sometimes Western world, they try to explain it in their own way. So every explanation is good in Hinduism. So whatever way you want to absorb energy, it is fine. In Hinduism, sorry about my voice. In Hinduism, actually, Kate, if you are going towards light, if you're going towards enlightenment, every path is a good path. So if somebody is defining AUM as Om as a spelling, that's fine. We define it as OM, and actually English doesn't have any kind of letter to write Om. In fact, our language, if you look at today's language, Hindi, Bengali, or anything, it doesn't have the letters, because Om is actually a symbol, which is like this. Okay, it's 3 different half circle structure. You can find it online if you really want to find the picture of Om. It's actually symbol, which if you look at Chinese or Korean as the scripts, remember in ancient time, all these scripts are actually the pictorial diagram, which has been defined as letters, right? That's how all these letters actually came forward. But for the easiness, yes, probably we can accept the fact it's a spelling AUM or OM. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly okay. In any way, if people are enlightened, that is fine.
Let me ask you, what is your definition of enlightenment? Because for me, I can be enlightened right now. It's just a matter of recognition that I am fine.
Okay.
What do you say? Enlightenment.
Brilliant. So for you, if you are fine, that means enlightenment. From my understanding, enlightenment means when you are not affected by the mortal world's irrational things, and you are way above all those unwanted thing that is happening in and around you. You can ignore them. You are inside that particular mortal odd stuff that is going on in and around you, but at the same time you learn how to be calm, balanced, and then focused enough to do what you want to do. So in night, if your dreams are not letting you sleep, and every time when you work for more bitterness and go for probably more calmness in your mind, which is happiness for you, that is perfectly fine. Enlightenment from your understanding and from my understanding. In simpler words, for me, enlightenment meaning, well, for me is like when I know the truth of the universe, then I call myself as enlightened, which is really hard to find.
Arijit, are you enlightened?
I don't call myself as enlightened yet. I'm in the learning path of enlightenment. Not yet.
Right on. Me too. So cool. So I'm
But
happy to share.
I would love to understand your perspective of understanding truth, your perspective of understanding Om. If you can please share your thoughts, it will be great.
Sure. Well, I think about truth, this is a topic I have been seeking. So I am a truth seeker. But what does it mean by truth? Everybody have different truth. Everybody can agree on one truth. But so what is the ultimate nature of truth versus truths, multiple truths, and so on? So that has been a big inquiry for me. And the more I exercise, the more I meditate and go into the pure state of just being, like it's called consciousness, just being, I'm able to accept everybody's truth. Okay, like a pizza. Like think about pizza. When I'm in meditation state, I am the observer of all these pizza pieces. Let's say there are 12 slices. 12 slices represent 12 people with different varying opinions and ideas. But they can have all these truths. And in my meditative state, I think what truth is the ability to hold everybody's truth as okay, just as is. Like Buddha practiced that. So it is my responsibility while seeking for truth to not cling onto any ideology, and also get rid of the old conditioning of what is right and wrong. This is hard to do, but this is a part of Dharma practice. When I find myself, that is wrong, that is right, that is a moment to drop that label. Yeah. So on my path, like think about me on a car driving with a puppy, trying to find a truth. And along the way, I am able to welcome all types of people's ideas. And as you said earlier, there is nothing good or bad. And I've been doing psychological work, inner work, and I know that pain, someone who caused me pain has had an important impact for me, my evolutionary growth. So even though when things get painful sometimes, it is my truth is that everybody's trying to help me grow, evolve. So back to your question, what is truth? I think truth is having non-attached to anything, any ideology outcome, but staying in the pure state of consciousness, pure state of bliss, as you say, bliss. And maybe practicing Om can help us all transcend our ego, get in touch with pure consciousness. reality beyond space and time.
What is reality for you? What is reality for you?
Reality?
Yep.
That's a big question. Reality is what I think is real, right? So this is another subjective thing. If I ask you, what is reality to you? You may have a different opinion from me, but from me. But for me, reality is, it includes dream realm, really. Reality includes dream realm. What I see in the dream realm is real. So the veil is really thin, but the unseen realm is real for me because I experienced them.
So if
yes.
I may define, what you experience is real for you.
Yeah.
What you have never experienced probably is not real for you.
That's not true.
Okay, then what is reality?
Real is something that I know it is true based on experience, and that includes physical reality, right? So pen, this is real because I can touch it, it's tangible. Dream, it's real for me because I can see that. I can see things in the dream. So even if things that haven't been created, let's say new invention, that is real because there's a potential to be created. So I think what I'm saying is my definition of reality goes beyond the materialistic reality that people think this is real or not real. I think everything is real.
Brilliant, brilliant. And that's the answer I actually wanted. Because if we look at our world, what we can touch or feel, for common people, that is real for them. But once you start traveling the world, they would probably experience that some other part of the world, reality is different. So when you are in front of maybe a frozen sea, your reality is different because you are then inhaling a different kind of breeze altogether. And inside part of your body is freezing because that's minus 51 to minus 52 degrees breeze that you are having. At the same time, when you are in a very, very hot place, maybe inside a desert, your inside body part is actually experiencing hot temperature. Then your reality becomes different. So for a person who never ever been in front of maybe a frozen sea, cold for him is different. Maybe 8 degrees temperature is cold for them. Maybe 0 degree is cold for them. Maybe -2 is cold for them. So reality from common perspective and reality from a perspective who has been probably moved beyond their body is completely different. I had a pleasure to having a discussion with another lady from USA, and we have been discussing about moving the soul from the body and then coming back inside the body. And I can clearly share you one very beautiful thing, Kate. There are people in this world who can do that. Okay. So for me and for you, we are talking about moving and understanding beyond common man's understanding of reality. I can completely relate to it because when you watch something in dreams, probably sometimes I don't watch it just like a normal human being, or you are not watching it just like a normal human being. Probably we are connecting each other, and that happened actually. So for the audience, actually, we some couple of days back, we had a same common kind of dream together, like me and Kate, and we started talking with each other that what is the meaning of that particular dream, why we are interconnected. For a normal explanation, every human being in this mortal world is actually interconnected with each other. Sometimes we don't want to explore that opportunity. Sometimes the non-knowledge is blocking our knowledge part in a very bad way. And that's the reason we cannot open up our chakras. This is another, I'm so sorry, chakra doesn't have a proper explanation in English. It's like various different parts, various different energy points of human body. Once someone understands how to open it up, world becomes really beautiful for them. From this perspective, Kate, can I share you something? Can I share something to the audience? Is it possible?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Arijit, wow, you're fascinating.
Okay.
Wow.
I would love to share one picture. Maybe if I can find it online.
By the way, I saw you in my dream yesterday.
Okay. So let me see if I can find that. Yes, thank you so much. I found this picture. I will try to explain it to our audience. This is a very common picture of Lord Vishnu. Now, Lord Vishnu is lying on the top of Sheshnag. This is basically a serpent, a snake, with multiple different heads. And on the lotus, this god is called Brahma. And the lady who is actually giving the devotion to Lord is called Lakshmi. Lakshmi symbolizes money and Brahma symbolizes creation. Vishnu at the same time is relaxing. But if you look at the picture, his eyes are not closed, it's half closed. And at the same time, he has got Sudarshan Chakra in his one hand, which is moving every time. That's a weapon. I will explain it later. And he has got 4 different hands, and his snake is giving his best to give comfort zone to the god. And he's on the top of Kheer Sagar, which is basically a normal sea, which you can see. Okay, it's an ocean. Now, what is the meaning of this picture? This ocean is actually our normal world. In Sanskrit, it's called sansar, which is the sar of everything, which is like, in English, it's our mortal world. In mortal world, you will always have ups and downs in life. So if a person can relax with all those ups and downs of life and can be focused enough to win his enemies, which is different part of the heads of snake, and his mindset is reluctant enough to ignore all those silly things that is coming up towards him, then you don't need to run for money. Money will come to you, and you yourself will be your own creator with the energy from your heart and chitta. Chitta means the inner pure soul with energetic outcome in English, in simple format. So that's one of the example, one of the explanation of one of our picture. I can go on with explanation of Shiva, Vishnu. It will take a lot of time, but I just wanted to share this because you are so right about explaining, about talking, about sharing and caring about reality. So in your opinion, when you see a dream, it's not actually a dream. Probably you are experiencing another world through your dreams. I would love to have your opinion in this, Kate.
I agree with you fully. Okay, first of all, I accept that dream realm is another dimension. So the second premise is that we're a spiritual being having a human experience for a short while in this human vehicle. I call it rent a car. I rented this body. When I say I, it is non-physical, but it's the soul speaking, right? So from this perspective, I can sleep when my body is physically resting in the sleep state. My body can, my soul can travel to different realms. It's called astral travel. You mentioned earlier about this woman's telling you about escaping the body, and this is called out of body experience. And I did go to school for training myself to go out of the body. There's a San Francisco school in San Francisco I attended over the weekend. And there's a technique to get outside of the body. And there's a one TED Talk speaker speaks about her experience of witnessing her family member sort of using a drug, but it was a family secret, but she somehow knew about it. And because she was able to escape her body during the night. So back to your question, yes, when we're dreaming, just simply going into a different dimension. So that is why I think it's reality. But earlier you mentioned about, something like ignorance can hinder us to explore all different types of new reality. And it's fun when we get to drop the ignorance and say, okay, I'm a blank sheet of paper. What my culture taught me, I know I can do more. I know I can learn more. There's more to than this matrix type of education. But dream realm is just as real as how I see you right now, how I am able to feel this pen right now. It's real for me. What do you say, Arjit? How about you? What do you?
Completely agree with you. Completely agree with you. And if we look at Korean culture, Korean gods, I'm not mastering to it. You are mastering to the into that part probably, but I can definitely see that there is a interconnection between Hindu god and goddess with Korean god and goddess. Somehow, I have read a lot about lots many aspects of very old ancient Korean god and goddess, but unfortunately, there are a lot of missing part which some people wanted to write in English. Because of translation, probably few things are different because meaning becomes different sometimes. For an example, I am not sure whether I'm actually taking the name perfectly. Mirvik, did I do the perfect pronunciation of one of the god who is major creator of all the gods?
Can you say one more time the name?
Mirvik, M-I-R-E-U-K. Mirvik, how do you pronounce him?
I have no idea.
Okay, I was actually reading a lot of ancient god and goddess. So if you can enlighten us about what is Korean god and goddess and how do you define the culture, it will be great.
Yeah, surprisingly, Arjit, as much as you know about Hinduism, I am still learning about Korean spirituality and mysticism. I am not educated in Korea. I mean, I was graduated here until 5th grade, and then I, started US education. So I'm happy to discover this with you. However, there is a story of how our people began. There's a fable, like an animal. Animal ate onion for many, many days in order to become a human. And this animal succeeded in eating only garlic for a number of days. And then it became a human. And then that is the ancestor of South Korean. There's a tale for that. So this culture is also based on shamanism. So when we research shamanism, it is prevalent in this culture. And so practically, I can give you a contrast. Living in America versus living in Korea, I have a comfortable sense being in Korea because there is a acceptance in the collective field. Energetically, it's comfortable to accept that everything is a living being, right? So like I respect this book because it has its consciousness. Compared to perhaps the Western culture, this book is a separate thing from me. It is an object, a material. So I sense a little bit of contrast in the energetic form, and it manifests as separation. But so I think Korean, the shamanism, we respect air, water, fire, all of that. Whether we can verbalize it, general public, the modern society can verbalize it or not, but there is this ease and the sense in the collective field in Korea that there is just all things are acceptable, just even in the unseen realm.
Completely understand.
Only caveat is the modern society, the capitalistic society, really helps bring us our focus into materialism. That is the only caveat, right?
Great, super. So I will be more than happy to explore probably more about our cross-cultural aspects, because in my opinion, if we look at deep dive into the ancient culture, people have actually lived millions of years on this mortal world. There is no new problem that today's generation will face. It has been faced by a lot of our ancestors earlier. Maybe the way we are looking at life has been a little bit of updated, but if we try to go back 300 years, people had their own kind of problem and issues. If we look back 100 years, the issues became different, but it is similar. If we look at now, issues are almost similar than earlier times. Only the medium and the ways of looking at it is becoming day in and day out. It is becoming a little bit of updated and different. But I would love to probably take examples and solve our usual daily life issues and problems with all those wisdom that is hidden inside our epics, inside our mythologies, with a little bit of touch of science. For an example, when I run my companies, to be very, very honest, when I'm acting as a CEO in one of my company, I act as a protector. So sometimes I have to fire someone. I have to ask someone to leave the company because he or she may not be good and doing good. He didn't probably updated their skills, or he's not ready to update their skills for last maybe 2 years or 2.5 years, irrespective of the fact we have probably asked them to update their skill set. So for the protection of the company, you need to fire someone. But as a founder, when you create a company, and in initial time, when you recruit some early level employees, it is very hard for a founder to ask the early level employees to leave the organization, you know. But if you really want to run a company, if you really want to run an organization, when you're protecting the betterment of the company, you need to be a little bit of sometimes act as Shiva and Vishnu both instead of Brahma. And that's the job role of a CEO. Sometimes he will be very, very shrewd. Sometimes he is very, very cool, calm, loving, because without that, you cannot run an organization. So if I am not wrong, this part has been played by people for last 100 of years. It was there in Chanakya Niti, how to run a kingdom. So I'm not doing anything new. I'm just doing the same good old thing in a new way. What do you think, Kate?
Absolutely. Yeah. Everything's connected. And I'm just fascinated how you bring spirituality into the business realm, even without talking about it. It's the archetype is playing out. And we're I think you and I are ancient souls. Yeah, we're here to recycle what worked before into the modern day innovation and fitting it, and to bring light to what is a sustainable company. What does it take? It takes Vishnu, Shiva, Brahma. It takes Aum. It takes consistency. It takes dropping the ignorance into the light, going into the pure consciousness, and also loving everybody as a CEO, like yourself, myself, loving everybody and every moment as best as we can. It's like we're the parents, right? Parent company, company owners. And I think that why some businesses succeed is because there is a hidden spiritual information that high performing CEOs get to practice, even if we don't verbalize it. Yeah, what do you say?
True. Totally agree with this. So I think with this note, let us wait for our next webinar and discussion. And definitely we'll go back and come back once again, Kate and Arijit, both once again with another beautiful subject, specifically maybe on corporate spirituality. We would love to discuss and talk about more on spiritual world and how we interconnect that, and how we are running our own organizations, and probably how we are running our own ecosystem, and then helping others to grow their business. So please stay tuned, write your comments in our comment box. Please feel free to get in touch with Kate and me if you want any more suggestion, and we'll be more than happy to get back to you.
Thanks, Arijit, for the beautiful session. And the audience, you can contact me on Instagram at lifeofemerald_. Write me on email, lifeofemerald@gmail.com. Arijit, I will look forward to speaking to you another session about this topic continuation. Thank you. Om Namaste.
Namaste.